Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're looking at something a bit different. Not the usual headlines.
No, definitely not. We're talking about a fictional detective story.
That's right, it's called The Match-Fixing Menace, Lizardmen of the Premier League.
Sounds like Pulp Fiction, and, well, it is.
It absolutely is. But the interesting thing is how specific it gets, how detailed the narrative is, especially around professional football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission today isn't to, prove Lizardmen run the Premier League or anything, obviously.
Obviously. We're just diving into this story, exploring its claims, its narrative structure, seeing what makes it tick.
Pulling out the intriguing bits, even from fiction. Sometimes you find interesting ideas even in the most outlandish places.
Definitely. So the premise involves this private investigator, Brick Hardcheese.
Great name. Just perfect noir.
Isn't it? Classic PI. And he gets pulled into a case by his ex-lover, Lady Charlotte Pendlebury.
And she comes to him with this absolutely wild accusation. Right. She believes, and she seems utterly convinced, that Premier League referees are secretly lizard people.
Not just bad calls, then. Actual lizard people.
Actual lizard people, from the Hollow Earth, no less, infiltrating the top tier of English football.
Wow. Okay. And she has proof. Or thinks she does.
She presents a photograph. It supposedly shows a referee, maybe under weird lighting, maybe not, with sort of slitted pupils and greenish skin.
Okay, so visual evidence of a sort. In the story, that is.
In the story, yes. And Brick, he's the hard-bitten detective. He's skeptical, extremely skeptical.
As you would be.
Totally. But there's history there with Charlotte. That connection kind of pushes him to, well, at least look into it, against his better judgment, perhaps.
So how does he even start investigating something like reptilian match-fixing? Where do you begin?
It goes undercover. Classic PI move.
Right.
Infiltrates Premier League HQ.
Okay, how? Big organization, surely.
Disguised as a janitor, apparently complete with a fake mustache.
Oh, come on. A fake mustache. Okay, keeping it subtle.
Well, maybe not subtle, but the disguise works, apparently. It lets him poke around behind the scenes.
And this is where it gets really weird, I suppose.
This is where it kicks off, yeah. He's snooping around, finds a door labeled VAR server room, goes in.
Expecting servers, I guess.
Exactly. But instead, he finds a hidden tunnel. Behind the servers? Or where they should be?
A secret tunnel inside Premier League HQ. Okay. What's in the tunnel? Cobwebs. Old boots.
More than that. The story describes ancient carvings on the walls. And, get this, shed lizard skin.
Shed lizard skin, right there. Forensic proof within the story's logic.
Pretty much. And there's also a tactical board like a manager would use, but covered in these strange symbols described as Hollow Earth runes.
Runes. Like football tactics written in ancient lizard language.
Seems like it. And Brick apparently has this funny thought, connecting it to Arsene Wenger's complex diagrams. Bit of humor there.
He needs it, I imagine. Finding lizard runes behind the VAR room. So does he get caught?
He has an encounter. Runs into a VAR technician down there.
Ugh, awkward. Just cleaning the runes, mate.
Yeah. Except this technician isn't just annoyed. The story says his eyes glow green, and he actually hisses at Brock. Tells him to leave to preserve the match.
Glowing green eyes and hissing. Okay, so, confirmation. The lizard people are real in this world, and they're protective of the match, whatever that means exactly.
Yeah, it shifts from a wild theory to a tangible threat. Something bigger seems to be going on than just fixing a few results.
So where does Brick go from there? He's found the tunnel, seen a hissing techie.
He targets a specific game, the North London Derby. High profile.
Makes sense. Big audience, lots of scrutiny.
And he manages to get himself into the actual VAR booth during the match.
Seriously. How? Never mind, just accept the plot. He's in the VAR booth.
He's in. And he accesses the VAR feed itself. But he finds something extra. Encrypted overlays on the video footage.
Encrypted overlays, so like hidden data on top of the match feed.
Exactly. Suggesting some kind of technological manipulation layered onto this ancient conspiracy. It's quite a mix.
Ancient lizards using modern VAR tech. What do the overlays show when he decrypts them?
Some pretty damning stuff, narrowly speaking.
Yeah.
Predetermined score lines. Specific instructions in, quote, lizardic commands.
Lizardic commands, what would those even sound like? Ensure striker trips over own feet. Award dubious penalty at 78 minutes.
Who knows? But the weirdest part, an IP address embedded in the data.
Okay, tracing the conspiracy, where does it lead? The Hollow Earth?
Mount Sterling.
Kentucky.
Kentucky, not the Hollow Earth, not some hidden underground bunker in, like, Switzerland, Mount Sterling, Kentucky.
Mount Sterling, Kentucky. It's just bafflingly specific and random.
That's brilliant. Why Kentucky? Is there any explanation?
Not really offered in the story snippet we have. It just hangs there. Maybe it's meant to be absurd. Maybe it's a nod to some other obscure thing. Who knows? It just adds to the strangeness.
So Brick has the proof, the Kentucky IP address, the Lizardic commands. What next as he expose it all?
Well, Charlotte comes back into the picture here with the grand theory. The why. Ah, the motive. It's not just for the thrill of rigging Spurs versus Arsenal.
Apparently not. Charlotte explains that the lizard people are using football, the patterns, the repetition, the rituals, the global obsession to condition humanity, preparing us for their ascension plan.
Conditioning humanity via football, like Pavlov's dogs, but with offside traps and VAR checks.
Sort of, yeah. The story frames it as this mass psychological manipulation through sport. It's described almost like David Icke collaborating with Pep Guardiola on a global scale.
That's quite a concept. So the match fixing isn't the end goal, it's a means to an end. Human conditioning.
That's the idea presented. It definitely raises the stakes from simple cheating to, well, something much bigger and more sinister.
Right. So this leads to the climax, I assume. Brick knows the what and the why.
It does. A big confrontation. Brick ends up on a stadium catwalk, face-to-face with a referee.
A human referee this time? Or
oh, no. An 8-foot-tall reptilian in full referee kit.
An 8-foot lizard referee on a catwalk, wearing the official kit.
Complete with the Premier League badge on the sleeve, according to the text. The visual is just fantastic.
I bet. So verbal confrontation? Or does it get physical?
It gets physical. Brick apparently fights him. He even gets hold of a corner flag, a diamond-encrusted corner flag, apparently, and uses it as a weapon.
A diamond-encrusted corner flag. Where did that come from? Never mind. He fights the lizard ref.
He does. And he yells this great line at the creature, accusing them of turning football into puppetry and cleats.
Puppetry and cleats. That sums it up perfectly. The feeling the story's tapping into. Loss of authenticity.
Absolutely. That sense that the game isn't pure, that it's being controlled. Here, literally by giant lizards.
How does the fight end? Does Brick win? Does anyone notice an 8-foot lizard fighting a PI on the catwalk?
Brick wins. He defeats the lizard referee with the fancy corner flag. And the crowd down below, they supposedly think the whole thing is just part of the halftime show.
Halftime entertainment. A man fighting a giant lizard. Of course. Perfect dark humor.
It really is. And after the fight, Brick has this moment of clarity.
He realizes
the game was rigged. All along. Not by money, not by gambling syndicates, not by politics, but by actual lizardmen from the Hollow Earth.
Must be quite a revelation. What does he do with the proof, the encrypted VAR crystal he found?
He takes the crystal, walks to the Thames, and just chucks it in.
Throws away the only concrete proof. Why?
Maybe a symbolic cleansing? Rejecting the whole manipulated reality? Or maybe just classic noir fatalism. The system's too big, too weird. The truth is unbelievable anyway. It leaves things hanging.
Yeah, it does. So that's the story arc. Lizard infiltration, VAR manipulation traced to Kentucky. Football is human conditioning, culminating in a fight with a giant reptile ref.
It's quite a ride. You've got the detective noir framework, the Premier League setting, Hollow Earth conspiracies, weird tech, philosophical conditioning. It's a lot.
It really is. And wrapping it all up, the key takeaways are just how bizarrely detailed this fictional conspiracy is. The Hollow Earth connection, the Kentucky IP, the conditioning theory.
And how it uses a familiar setting, top-flight football, as the backdrop for something utterly fantastic. It plays on that slight feeling maybe some fans get that things aren't quite right, but takes it to an absurd extreme.
Which leads to that provocative thought, doesn't it? I mean, obviously this is fiction, but it makes you wonder.
What other everyday things could have some hidden, completely outlandish explanation if you really let your imagination run wild?
Yeah, it taps into that fascination with conspiracies, with hidden hands pulling the strings even when it's presented this ridiculously. Why are we drawn to those ideas?
That's a whole other deep dive, perhaps. But this story definitely plays with it.
And we end with Brick Hardcheese. He's seen the truth, fought the lizard ref, thrown away the proof, but he still watches the football.
Yep, still watches, but now he's allergic to reptiles.
A fittingly weird endnote. Well, thanks for taking this very unusual deep dive with us today.
It was certainly memorable.